So I am here today with homegrown comedian Rachel Fairburn, who is bringing a brand new stand-up show of comedy called Showgirl to the Opera House in Manchester on Saturday, the 9th of September. Now, Rachel has toured the country with her shows. She has performed at the Edinburgh Fringe. She has worked with the BBC, with the likes of Russell Kane, and of course has the hugely popular podcast All Killa, No Filla with Kiwi Pritchard McLean, which we are going to come back to later. But first of all, welcome home for when you come in September, Rachel. And we want to know all about Showgirl because it delves into your life a little bit, does it? And follows.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, first of all. It sort of just a little bit. And I sort of, I basically am trying to answer the question, how did you get into comedy, which I get asked all the time. And I get asked in different ways by different people, which I sort of explore a bit in the show. But I also touch on, not too much, I sort of touch on how I used to be incredibly shy. And I still am to a certain degree, I still am shy now. And how sort of I was very socially anxious. And how now that I'm a stand-up comedian, it sort of doesn't really, it's sort of a weird thing to do when I used to be such a shy person. So I do touch a little bit on my life, but nothing too much, because I think it can be quite self-indulgent, all that stuff. You've got to have had a really interesting life to be able to talk about yourself, and I've just not done anything that exciting.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Stand-up shows, podcasts, and got it. You've got it all going on. So you say on your website that you've kind of mellowed a little bit with this tour. So what does that mean? Is that kind of like your observations, the way that you view things? How is it?
Well, see, this is the thing. I thought I'd mellowed, but I don't think I have. So in January, I had all these big ideas. I thought I stopped going to the pub. I quit alcohol for January. And I didn't like, people go, oh, why did you stop drinking? It's like, oh, because of just, spending too much time in the pub having a laugh. There was no deep meaning behind it. And I did try January and I felt fantastic. And I thought, oh, right, okay, well, let's see where this is going to take me. I feel vibrant, I feel full of life, I'm excited. And I've had 2 nights out since January, and I don't miss drinking. I'll tell you that for free. But yeah, I thought I mellowed a bit, because I used to be quite a bit of a party animal, and I thought I've mellowed, I'm more chilled out. And I'm like, no, I still get annoyed, I still get irritated by everyday life. I'm still quite I hate the word feisty when it's applied to women. I still get quite agitated, and I'm quite reactionary to things. I'm like, well, like I sort of have an argument with my boyfriend. He'll say something like, "What do you mean?" I'll be like, but then it's very short-lived.
Yeah.
My irritation, I think as I've got older, sort of had to be angry for ages. Now I'm just like, oh, whatever. I can't be bothered. But I think I've mellowed a little bit, not too much, because I think if I mellowed too much, then my comedy would suffer.
Yeah.
So I've got to keep that agitation in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, does it kind of change the way that, because obviously when you're observing stuff, if you're mellowed and you're observing it differently, then that would follow through, wouldn't it? But so we're not going to
Yeah.
see a massive difference.
No, I thought I had all good intentions of when you write the blurb for your show, it's often months and months before that show gets into. So you try and be as vague as possible, you know. Uh, there's a little bit about me being a bit more chilled out, but I'm not. I'm not going to change now. That's the thing. The fact is now that I've stopped going out so much and stayed out till 2 in the morning having a laugh. I, I'm less tired. So I think maybe a lot of my agitation used to be that I was actually just tired.
Yeah, you just
You
run
know, like a
down.
baby. Exactly, when a baby that won't go to sleep and you just think, go to bed. That
Yeah.
used to be me. I'd fight, slept, be like, no, I've got to stay up, want to do this. And now I'm just like relaxed and refreshed and well rested. I'm like, oh, let's just let it go.
Whatever. Yeah, I love it.
Whatever.
So you, Rachel, are going to be the first female Mancunian comedian on that Opera House stage since one of my heroes, Victoria Wood. I
I
mean,
know.
is that kind of like this? Because I was thinking about that, and it's like, oh my God. But then is it kind of also a little bit of squeaky bum time?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
Feeling good. Do I'm feeling good about it. I mean, you can't, Victoria Wood does, you can't, too big, too iconic, too iconic. and in no way comparing myself to the brilliant Victoria Wood. But what an honour to be. All it says to me is I think we need to have more female Mancunian comedians. That's what I think. The fact that since Victoria Wood, we need more. We need to start paying attention because some great acts from Manchester out there. Female acts. There's some great ones. Go out and see them. But yeah, it's amazing. Really, I'm really excited about it. Don't want too much. I don't want to put myself under pressure, but the big shoes to fill, aren't they? So, but yeah, really, really excited about it. And it's quite an honour, really.
It is, and like you say, it just goes to show that what we need more people out there doing this.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many great, especially in Manchester on the northwest circuit. There's brilliant female comedians out there. Molly McGuinness, who's a Mancunian comedian, she's brilliant. Just the Women in Comedy Festival's coming up in October. There'll be some local acts. Go and get and see them. Let's get more women. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Absolutely. So, Rich, when you're putting a show together, how? How do you start? Do you kind of walk around with a little notebook or tapping away on your phone as ideas pop into your head? But then, even if you're doing that, do you kind of end up with all these little segmented bits? How do you kind of pull everything together?
Oh, it's a good question. Because I'm still pulling them all together at the minute. I carry a notebook, and I put notes in my phone all the time. There's all bits of I've got scraps of paper here, with bits written on that I might think of throughout the day. The worst is when you wake up, and this happens to me frequently, particularly since I've not been to the pub all the time and stuff. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and I'll go, that bit, that's the bit that goes with that bit. I need to move that round. So it's constantly, you're always thinking about it. And sometimes you feel like you're not doing anything, but you're constantly thinking your show, and it's like a soup, in your mind, getting all sort of coming together. And sometimes in the afternoon, I'll be sort of sitting, just lying on the sofa, and I'll have to say to my boyfriend, I'll be like, I'm not being lazy, I'm actually working. And that's how there's certain, that happened to me about a month ago. That's the point when the show's coming together, that I'm just lying there thinking about it. But when you first start working on it, you think, oh God, what am I doing? I can't write. I can't do it. This is not, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's same with any creative process, isn't it? You think it's never going to happen. It's never going to come together. And then you have a bit of a mad panic a few months in and go, well, we're going to have to cancel the tour because I can't do comedy anymore. And then you're getting towards the end, and this always happens. You go, I'm really happy with this. I can't wait. And then you go, oh no, oh, it's terrible. And then of course it's not, but it's just getting in your own head about it.
Yeah.
And once you get out there and do it, because you just want, the thing is, because it's there and you just want to perform it.
Yeah.
It comes together quite organically, I would say, but with moments of panic.
But I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Because it is that live interaction. You don't know what's working until you've got that audience, I guess, do you? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Like you do previews of your show, but a lot of the time I don't think audiences know what a preview is, unless because I think sometimes I think, oh, what's she coming on here with a notebook for? She's quite arrogant, she can't be bothered learning it. They don't really understand what it is, and fair enough, but you just don't know until it's in. I just wish that you could click your fingers and it's in, and it's so mad that you write something yourself and you think, I'm never going to learn this.
Yeah.
You know more than you think. It's just the learning it that I struggle with, but it. Like, I think now I could go out and do the show now, but there's always a little bit in your mind that goes, you don't know what you're doing.
Oh.
No one's going to laugh. Everyone has that. I think if you don't have that, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, it's kind of what pushes you on, isn't it? I suppose.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
And then, so you've done all of this, you've learned it, you've put it all together, you've had your voices and you've had your doubts, and then you get on stage, and then sometimes we have that lovely breed of human being called the heckler.
Oh yeah.
Are you able to kind of anticipate where you think that's going to come, or is it just always like complete randomness, and sometimes you're just even like, what?
Yeah, well, it's very strange because with your own show, it's rare that will happen. If someone does heckle you, it's because they're happy to be there and they want to join in.
Yeah.
But you just got to be like, shush. And you know, it's very, very rarely you'll get. I mean, heckling. People think it's a huge part of comedy. It's not as much. It doesn't happen as much as you think. It'll happen in like a comedy club. You might be doing 20 minutes at the Frog and Bucket on a Saturday night, and everyone's very drunk, and there'll be someone who shouts out, and 9 times out of 10 you can't hear them. So someone will shout something, and you have to say, "What was that?" And then you hear it, and you go, "Ah, it wasn't worth it, really, was it?" But then sometimes it's strange because someone will be good natured. Most of it's good natured, you know. So
Right.
someone will be laughing at something, and they'll go, "Oh yeah," and they'll forget that they're at a comedy show and they're drunk, and they try and just tell you that the same's happened to them, or they've got a story that they want to tell you. So it never sort of, you know, I used to go into comedy thinking that when I started out, I thought, well, it's just people heckling all the time. I'm going to have to be very quick-witted about all of this. And no, actually, no, it's not, is it? People do just want to watch a show. And I think now, especially with the cost of living crisis, the fact that people have paid for tickets to go out, I think if anyone does heckle and sort of disrupt the show, they've got the audience to deal with because they're like, we paid for this, we want to watch, you know?
Yeah.
So
we've experienced that.
yeah. But I'm always ready. I'm always ready for it. But it's not. I mean, touch wood. Look at me getting superstitious.
Yeah.
It's quite a rare thing that happens.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So tell us about the podcast. How did that come out? So I believe that you met at a party. But from there, how did it kind of grow into I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. So podcast do all Killa no Filla. It's about serial killers. Don't be worried. We don't laugh at murders. We laugh at ourselves. We talk about our lives, and we do a lot of research into the subjects that we're talking about. But it came back. So through Richard McLean, who's a comedian, we found out we lived across the road from each other in North Manchester, and we'd never gigged together because at the time you didn't really get a lot of women on comedy bills together because it was still quite a sexist business. It's a lot better now.
Yeah.
So people said, "Oh, you're into pretty much the same things. You're both interested in true crime. You're interested in." And then I had a party at my house, which I had to be put to bed at 10 o'clock. But we won't go into that. And everyone else had a lovely time. And I met Kiri there, and we chatted for a bit. And then a few months later, she said, "Oh, do you fancy doing a podcast?" And I'll be honest, I was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll give it a go." And the first episode we did was absolutely terrible, and it never went out. But then we sort of found our feet.
Yeah.
You know, and then we thought, well, no one's going to listen. We may as well just keep doing it. And then one day we checked and we were like, oh my God, loads of people are listening. And then we ended up doing a tour of the UK, and then we did an American tour, and then we're planning another tour at the minute. We do big Christmas shows and Halloween shows. We did the Ritz in Manchester last Halloween. So not the Ritz, the Academy, and we did the Ritz at Christmas. So it's mad. It's huge. We never thought that anyone would listen, and very grateful for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Back to the tour. So you've got, I think it's 38 dates in about 3 months, somewhere around there.
Yes.
So do you find that, because obviously that's a lot to pack in, does the show kind of end where it started? Do you find that jokes kind of expand or alter, or some get like sidelined as you go along? Does it evolve?
I'm very stubborn in the sense of that the show's the show.
Right.
Don't start tinkering. Don't start messing. Once you've done it and it's out there, the worst is, and this happens to every single comedian. The worst is, and it happens not a lot, but it'll happen like about twice on the tour. There'll be a bit that you miss out, and you go, "What a great show!" And then you get off and you go, "Oh, I missed out that bit." And the worst is, and it's not happened to me, touch wood again, this is superstitious, it's not happened to me, but it's when you have a call back to something. So a comedian will do a bit, and then they'll move on to something else, and then like 20 minutes later, they might do a joke that refers to something that they did before.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes people miss out the bit before, and then just do the callback, and it makes no sense, and everyone's like, what? So it can go right. So I like to not put anything new. I don't like to tinker. I don't like to put anything. I might, what I'm going to do this time on tour. I'll have a support act, but I'll come out before the support act, have a bit of a chat to the audience. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to look around wherever I am for a little bit during the day. raid the charity shops, all that kind of stuff, and just chat about where I am and what I've discovered about the town or whatever.
Yeah.
Then bring the support acts on and then do the show. So yeah, I tend not to deviate from the show. But what always happens is you'll finish the show, and about a month later, you'll go, "Oh, why didn't I put that bit there?
Oh,
Or why didn't I mention this bit here?" You know, we retrospect. You always think of something, but yeah, the show will be the show.
the show
Yeah.
will be the show.
The
Fantastic.
show will be
With
the
a little
show.
tweak at the start that's individual to every location.
Yes,
Yes, that
there
sounds
you go.
amazing. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So I think I was going to say, so why should we come? But to be honest, I think we know why we should come because, and I mean that in a, what are people going to gain from it? What? But I think you've kind of said, you know, you're going to get comedy, you're going to get a night out, you're going to get celebrate female comedians.
Yeah. Look, listen, as I said before, we're in a cost of living crisis. I'm so grateful for everybody that has bought a ticket, and I never take that for granted. And I will, you come to see me, I guarantee we will have a good time because you've chosen to spend your money on a night of comedy and you will get a night of comedy. Even if you take a chance and you don't like me, some of the support acts are fantastic. You'll love them.
Oh, do you know what? And we all need to laugh, don't we?
Exactly.
You've just got to laugh. You've just got to laugh at life because what's the alternative? Do you know what, Rachel? Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Please come along and support. It's at the Opera House Saturday, the 9th of September, and it is going to be a fantastic night. So thank you very, very much, and all the best with the tour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it was a lovely chat.